Again, welcome everyone again. Thank you for attending today's server and site admin virtual user group. My name is Mark Wu. I'm a server admin and a Tableau visionary and this talk group lead. Today's topic is a Tableau login based license management. First, Sarah and Paul will talk about how UBS implemented their LBLM with a lot of details and tips, tricks, and lessons learned. And then myself, I will talk about what I have to do to maintain the same desktop user experience versus when they had a single master key. Just some quick logistics. Everyone is muted during the whole session for better play to answer those questions. Again, this is a community event. I will try to answer some of your questions. Also, Paul will try to answer some of your questions when Sarah is presenting as well. And we will definitely have dedicated QA at the end. Do we record these sessions? Of course, yes. In the WebEx chat, in the Zoom chat, let me pin the link again for those just joined. I have a link where you can find all the previous recordings and also today's recording. Let's get started. Sarah.
Thank you, Mark. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining this call. So I'm Tara Shashank Davuluru, working as Associate Director at UBS as a Tableau Cloud and Licensing Lead at Center of Excellence in UBS. So today I will be discussing about why we need LBLM, what are the benefits, and how we implemented that in UBS. So let me go to the first slide. Okay, so first of all, let's see what is LBLM and why do we need this. So LBLM is a new way of license where there is no product keys required in order to activate Tableau. So LBLM is nothing but it's a login based license management which will allow creators to activate Tableau desktop or Tableau prep by simply logging into their Tableau server or Tableau online with their credentials, with their online credentials or server credentials. And LBLM gives us an ability for the admins, the server admins, where they can assign, reclaim, or reharvest the licenses very easily, and also can monitor how those licenses are being used directly from the Tableau server instead of distributing the license keys to end users and maintaining the customer portal. So this is what LBLM does. And let's move to the next slide and discuss about the benefits. So what are the main benefits of LBLMS? So it will be very easier to do a package, like if admins have to do package and deploy Tableau desktop or prep to the end users, it will be very easy with LBLM, and they don't need to worry about distributing the individual license keys and gaining the access to the customer portal in order to distribute the licenses. And there is an increased visibility for the creator seat uses, like Tableau server and Tableau online, where we have a custom admin dashboards where we can see the centralized view how these creator licenses were being used, who is using it, how they are using it, when they activated it, which version they are using it. All this you have a increased visibility. And if you are using Tableau desktop or Tableau prep builder in an environment with login based license management, you don't need to worry about deactivating the product case. So basically what happens here is when you are using your Tableau desktop or Tableau prep in some non-persistent VDI machines, there will be a requirement where you need to deactivate the licenses if you want to harvest those licenses or transfer those licenses to other users. So with LBLM, we don't need to worry about those things, as LBLM itself will take care of the deactivation automatically, which we'll be discussing in the next slides. You can also activate, like with the LBLM, what is the benefit we have as any user with one creator license, they can have two supported configurations of Tableau desktop and one session of Tableau prep. So basically you can use up to three session, three config supported versions, two for Tableau desktop and one for Tableau prep. These are the main benefits of LBLM. So basically, what versions does login based license management was supported? So in Tableau Online, it's always supported. When coming to Tableau Server and Desktop, it's supported from 2020.1 version onwards, and in Tableau Prep, it is supported from 2020.1.3 onwards. So if you planning to use login based license management, make sure that you are on these versions so that you can use the login based license management feature to make the process easier. So now let's discuss about how LBLM works. So basically LBLM is something like, if you can use LBLM, if you have a Tableau online or a Tableau server, you can use LBLM. How it works is, first of all, like basically in order to use LBLM, every time when you launch a Tableau desktop or a Tableau desktop or a Tableau prep builder, what it need to do is, first of all, if you see the Tableau online, when Tableau desktop communicates, there is a firewall. When you look into Tableau online, it is communicating with Tableau online and it is connecting with a ATR service. This ATR service is nothing but it's a authorization to run service, which is hosted in AWS and managed by Tableau itself. So basically this ATR is the responsible one for to validate your licenses, validate your like a time to live and time to license check. All these things will be done by ATR. And when you come to the on-premises Tableau server, so basically the when you launch a Tableau desktop, it will be connecting to the Tableau server, and Tableau server has to connect to the ATR service. Here where we will have a firewall. So here, if you are using a forward proxy or reverse proxy, make sure that the firewall is open in order to contact with ATR service, which is hosted in AWS. So having this ability will allow our LBLM to work effectively. So how we will know, how do we know that our firewall is open and it is able to talk to the ATR service, which is managed by Tableau? So in order to diagnose the ATR connectivity, so basically here we have a URL where we can check the status health. So basically, if in your browser, you hit this URL, if you get a status okay, that means it's able to connect to the ATR service and can get the request by handshaking it. So that's the main thing where we need to see if the ATR connectivity is happening or not. If the ATR connectivity is not happening, make sure that from your firewalls were open to this particular port and the URL, and then when you open to this port and URL, the Tableau desktop can talk to ATR service. And the same way in the Tableau server also, the application server, the specifically this portal nodes need to be able to talk to this ATR service, which is hosted in by Tableau. So you need to check from the Tableau server also if the proxy is configured properly to allow the traffic to the Tableau licensing server, which is ATR, so that your Tableau server and Tableau desktop can talk to ATR and do the license renewals automatically. If this firewall was not open, then you cannot connect with the ATR services to make the LBLM work. I'll stop for a minute. If you have any questions, I can take two questions here.
Sarah, maybe you can answer question. Can they still charge back easily using the LBM?
Sorry, I didn't get you, Mark. What?
Can there how can we charge back license by department and so on?
Yeah.
I can take that one, Sarah. Well, in
Yeah.
UBS, we all our desktop license holders buy their own license. So when at the point that their creator license is purchased, their own cost code gets charged. So that's how that works. The chargeback's got nothing to do with LBLM.
So basically, we have a asset management team who takes the responsibility of procuring the creator licenses. So generally what we do is we buy it in a batch of 50 licenses or 100 licenses every quarter. And when we see that the creator licenses are getting utilized and we have a shortage of when it reaches to 50, we'll raise a new procurement where we procure the license, and this will be charged back for the users. So that's the reason we have a mechanism where we are looking at who are raising the request for a creator, which we'll be talking in the next slides. So let me move to the next slide. Okay. So how we have implemented LBLM in UBS. So first of all, I would like to give you an overview about how our UBS environment is and how many users are using our Tableau desktop. We have 2,500 plus Tableau desktop users who are using Tableau desktop and Tableau prep. So here, what is the initial thing we have done is like a few years back, we used to use a Citrix environment where people used to connect to Tableau desktop from the Citrix environment. So when people are connecting from different jobs and our Citrix server is sitting in UK, so they have a lot of latency. When they are opening Tableau desktop or something, it's taking a lot of time. Sometimes it takes more than 5 minutes to launch the Tableau desktop. So we have addressed that issue. We want to address that issue. And that time Tableau has launched ATR feature with 10.5. So what we have done is in UBS, we have a complicated environment, like we have a non-persistent VDI machines and persistent VDI machines, like around 8 different environments we have. So we need to manage all these environments with a single packaging system where the users can use the Tableau application seamlessly. So what we have done is as these are non-persistent VDI machines, we need to make sure that users download Tableau desktop or Tableau prep through a packaging. So we started doing a packaging of all the Tableau desktop and Tableau prep with the help of Appy, Numicent, and Chocolate packages to deliver it to all the users, as users doesn't have any ability to download the software by themselves. So here, when we are doing this kind of activity, we found that managing the individual licenses, it's bit cumbersome, and definitely it's bit very risky also to maintain all these keys and distributing it. So that time we have opted master key, and finally when we saw that in 2020.1 version we have a ability to use LBLM, we thought this would be giving us a lot of control on managing the licenses, and also we'll have a transparency to view who are using the licenses. So that's the reason we have chosen to go to specifically for the LBLM. And always the user experience, what we see is when we are using master key, we have some problems when they launched Tableau desktop, it used to take like 2 minutes of time. So we want to address all these problems. That's the reason we went with LBLM. We sorted first with the ATR connectivity, and then we started building the packagings using this Appy and Numicent. And then what we did is, in order to make the automation easy for the users, we brought all the command line parameters in terms of packaging, and we have enabled the sequencing there itself. So when a user logs into a machine and he starts using it, the application will be installed. application will be installed and it will be tied up with the user roaming profile. That means as it is a non-persistent VDI machine, every time the user log off, he will get a new machine. As this installation is tied up with the roaming profile, it's very easy for the users to get like whenever they are moving to the other system also, still the installation stays like that. So to address those all problems, we have chosen LBLM, and also with LBLM we are also using a feature called as ATR, which gives a lot of ability to activate and deactivate the licenses in non-persistent VDI machines. So this is the main problem. When you have a non-persistent VDI machines, when the user logs off, you get a new machine. So that you need to deactivate the license so that the user can use the Tableau desktop in another machine immediately. So to tackle these problems, LBLM has given us a room how to solve this problem. So that's the reason we have implemented in this way. We have implemented LBLM in UBS. So coming to as I mentioned, we are handling this with the packaging. So when we are doing the packaging in the sequencing part, what we are doing is we are using command line parameters for both Tableau desktop and Tableau prep installation. So these are some important parameters which I would be discussing what we have to take into account. So the first thing is when you are implementing LBLM, the ATR enabled is one of the important parameter which you need to basically mention. ATR enabled equal to 1. So when you say ATR enabled equal to 1, that means you are enabling the ATR. That means ATR feature can be used. And also the important thing is the ATR requested duration seconds. The ATR requested duration seconds is nothing but once the license is activated, how much time, the time to live, like basically how much time the activated license need to be alive on the particular machine. So for this, we have a different kinds of options where Tableau gives. The minimum which we can set for this ATR requested duration sequence is 4 hours. And the maximum you can set up is 90 days. And by default, if you're not choosing any of this, by default, it will be 14 days. As in our case, we are using non-persistent VDI machines. We have chosen 12 hours. 12 hours would be the ideal time where the license to live check will be happening after 12 hours. And if the user is still using after 12 hours, we have also used a parameter called as synchronous license check, which will check it if the user is using it, or automatically the ATR token will be extended for the other time. And also we have taken the consideration of LBLM parameter. So this LBLM parameter has 3 options: enable, disable, and required. So basically this enable, disable, and required, what it will do is when you enable it, basically the LBLM will be enable and you can use LBLM. But when you say LBLM required, when you are activating the Tableau desktop, you would be seeing only the LBL activating with LBLM. So I'll be showing this in the next slides, which I'll talk about it. And the activation server. If you see here, we need to mention on which Tableau server this LBLM license need to be activated. Where do we have these creator license? In UBS, we have different environments, but we have a centralized server where we take care of all the license activation. That's the reason in the we can mention about the activation server here, and I'm passing the URL of the activation server, and I'm also mentioning our reporting server. And I also mentioned here some of the important parameters like auto update equal to 0. So this auto update equal to 0 is giving admins more control what version the users need to use. So we can force at the point of deployment of Tableau desktop and Tableau prep to use only certain versions, and users cannot update that version, so that we can make sure that the Tableau desktop version and the Tableau server version are in line, and we don't see any problem. That's the reason we have auto update equal to 0. And we have other parameters also, which are which were used in this command parameters, command line parameters. If you want to find more information on this, you can go to this link to find more information on it. And also we are using discover pane URL. This is something like in Tableau desktop, where we have a option, you can point it to your own center of excellence portal or something where you have quick links. So we are also using this information to push it to the user. I'll take a pause for a minute if anybody has questions here, or else I'll move to the next slide. Yeah, you can ask, Kutin.
Yeah, Mark, can you unmute anybody that wants to ask a question? We've been covering a lot
There
of them in the chat.
there was open question in the QA. I wasn't sure by Andreas. I wasn't sure which part Andreas was talking about. There was a requirement those installation cannot be changed unless you reinstall Tableau server. I wasn't sure which part.
I think he means if you're going from non-LBLM to LBLM, does it need a reinstall of the environment?
No, for that you
No.
don't need. Just license key change, server license. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's a valid question, because if you're changing things like the AD domain that you're pointing out, you used to need to reinstall it anyway, so it wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, valid question.
I see. But you do need to restart the server. That's fair. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Then I'll move to the next slide. So the another important thing is, when we are handling this in the packaging of Tableau desktop, for Tableau desktop and Tableau prep, we also need to do some settings on the Tableau server. So what are those settings and how we can do it? So basically, with login-based license management, the LBLM is enabled by default on Tableau Online or Tableau Server from the version 2020.1. So we don't need to do any specific settings. But if you want to disable it or something, you can use these commands, the configure, the TSM set commands. If just make sure that this change it to false, so that you will disable the LBLM, or else you don't need to do any actions if you want to use LBLM. So you will be the most important thing is, first of all, what you need to do is, you need to make sure that all your licenses, if you have a lot of individual keys, talk to your TAM or account manager and make sure that all those licenses having individual keys were translated into one creator key. Once you receive the creator key from the account manager or TAM, then make sure that that particular key was activated on the Tableau server, and then go to the setting and see if it is set to true, so that apply the changes, it will be applied. But the most important thing is, we talked about the setting up the ATR requested duration seconds, right? So that you can do at the Tableau desktop level, Tableau desktop or prep level, like at the client level or at the server level. If you want to do at the server level also, you can use these commands. Basically, you can set up the ATR duration by using these set commands. You can set the maximum default requested duration seconds or the max duration seconds. So if you are applying it in both Tableau desktop and Tableau server, if you are setting up ATR duration seconds more in Tableau server, based on those values, it will take a precedence. So if you have something in the Tableau desktop and Tableau server, it will look into the Tableau desktop. And if you have some higher values in requested duration second, then the server will take the precedence. You can do at Tableau desktop and Tableau server level, or else you can do it at one place itself. We chose to do it Tableau desktop level, so that when we have problems or something, it's always easy to diagnose it. So that's the reason we have chosen to keep it at the packaging level itself, so that we know the problem, something is happening at the user end when they are launching the application. So that's the reason we have set it up to Tableau desktop or Tableau prep packaging level itself. So it's up to you to choose whether you want to do at the Tableau server level or you want to do at the both the levels. So one thing will take the precedence when you have the higher value setup. So my minimum, like generally, if you are using a non-persistent VDI machines or something, make sure that you can set you can set it up to 8 hours, the requested duration seconds, if it is feasible. Otherwise, you can go down also up to 4 hours. Think about it and choose it. So let me move to the next slide. So as I mentioned about the parameters, I spoke about the parameters in the previous slides. So I mentioned about LBLM required, disable, and enable. So when you say, when you use the parameter LBLM required, so basically when you launch the Tableau desktop, you would be seeing only this option activating by signing into a server. That means, as I mentioned, LBLM required, it is not showing the other two options like uh, activate with key and start trial. Those options were not seen. So by default, user will be seeing this activating by signing into server. When he click on it, automatically my server URL will be automatically pushed through command line parameter by using activation server. So users don't need to worry about which server I need to use. So in UBS, as we have different environments of Tableau, so here there will be a confusion. So that's the reason we have passed the activation server. What is the activation server they need to use, so that users don't need to struggle for it? That's the reason we passed it. It depends on your use case. If you have a one single environment, users would be knowing the URL, but still using this.
Sarah, are you still there? I lost audio.
Yeah, I lost Sarah as well.
It will activate the server automatically.
Sorry, Sarah, we just lost you for about 20 seconds there.
Yeah.
We can hear you again now, though. Can you just go back to that screen? One thing I'd like to mention here is that users have been complaining at us that they have to keep activating, and we chose 8 hours. We might well up that time to live to, I don't know, a little bit higher. But it's generally when you're using software, activation like this is a one-time act, and we're getting asked by users, how come we have to keep doing this? So that is one thing that users are not happy with, but ultimately their desktop does load a lot faster now as well, so they're pleased with that.
So
you say, Paul, you keep 8 hours only? Sorry. Every 8 hours?
I can't remember why we chose 8 hours. Why was that, Sarah? What was the reason we chose 8 hours?
We have chosen 12 hours. The reason is any day like people will be working for 8 hours. We gave extra buffer of 4 hours, so that if users are using it, still they don't need to activate that point of time. So that's the reason we have chosen 12 hours. So that gives them a room to use it.
So 12 hours means if they have not logged on server for 12 hours, they will have to reactivate again.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
You guys are really aggressive. I set as 2 months. But yeah,
the reason
different needs. Yeah.
The reason why we are doing this, it's our non-persistent VDIs. As initial slides, I mentioned that Tableau will give you with LBLM to use only 3 sessions. Let's say if our user has logged into one of the non-VDI mission, for some reason he has activated Tableau desktop, and then some reason he has to log off from the system and logged into a second mission. There also he has some problem and he has to log from there also. Then he get a new mission, and there it will be activated. Already two Tableau desktops were activated, so he can't activate the Tableau desktop for the third time. So that's the reason we need to think about this workaround, so that at least one session will work for the users, as these are non-persistent VDI machines. So that's the reason we have chosen this approach.
Okay.
So I think somebody we lost for some time. So I'll repeat this slide again. So basically, when we are using LBLM required,
Sarah, no need, carry on, mate. We got almost all of it, so just carry on.
Sure. And another thing is like how we are adding creators to the server. Here we have a lot of various ways of handling the creators to the server. So we have chosen a way of creating an Active Directory group called as ARP Tableau creator role. And then we added this group to the Tableau server with the minimum site role as creator. And also we also taken advantage of grant role on sign in. So users, whenever they activate a Tableau server, a Tableau desktop, immediately they will be granted with the Tableau creator role by adding to this group. So why we are doing this process is we want to make sure that we have a certain requirements in UBS. Like we every time we were like our users ask us a question, how many license, how many Tableau desktop creators were there for our specific business division or specific zone wise, like how many user licenses were getting used. If we do this automatically, we don't have that, we will not have a clear transparency of showing this reports to the user. So to make the reporting easy, what we did is we have used some access provisioning site called as BBS in UBS. So we are making sure that every user who need a particular creator role or publisher role or explorer role, they need to go through access provisioning site and they need to request this. Once they request that role, they will be added to that group, so that we can use some basically we are creating some reports to make sure that who are the users when they have requested the license, and when they opted out, when they have reharvested it, when they have transferred the license. In order to tackle all those requirements, we are using a Active Directory group. But without using Active Directory group also, on the fly at the time of installation, you can do it, which Mark will be talking about it in his slides, how he has achieved it. There are ways in achieving this, but this is the right approach what we thought about, because based on our use case and the report needs what we have. So this is how we are adding the creators to the server. So let me move to the next slide. So as I talked about this in the first slide, it made a transparency to view the centralized management view. So basically with login by license, once you enable it, you all the admins will have a ability to see the LBLM usage administrative view. So in the custom admin dashboards, if you go to the Tableau server or anything, you can go to the custom admin dashboards from the state, if you select the site status and then you go there, you can see the all the custom admin dashboards what we have, what was shipped with Tableau. In that you can see a login based license uses, and you can see a report like this where it will show who is the user who is using the who got the creator license, on which host they are using it, what is the user role they have, and what product type they are using it, and what is the version they are using. So this was very useful for us, because we, as I mentioned, we are using non-media machines. Every time user logs off and logs in, he will have a new host name, because it's not fixed, non-persistent VDA. So it's easy for us to track who is using the license in which machine, when he has activated it, and whether the license is activated or it is in use. So here we have some parameters, like how many days we can choose. In between 30 to 90 days, you can choose it, and you can select the action, whether it is activated or in use. And you can also see whether the creator license, which creator seats are in the use for last 30 to 90 days, and which creator seats have not been used in the last 30 days. So by looking at this view, we can make more automation. Like if you see more, there are creator users who are not using Tableau desktop or Tableau prep for a while, if you have any housekeeping policies or something, later you can automate based on this process. So still we are doing that process, we are not at there, but this report will give that ability to have a transparency to see how the licenses are being used. So that's what the login based license uses administration view will help. And coming to right, as we implemented all these things, as you are pushing all the packages and everything, it's very important to know when there are issues. So if we have any issues with the LBLM or ATR, we should be able to find what is the issue and why it is happening. So that's the reason we have a command line utility tool which was shipped by Tableau itself. When you install Tableau desktop or prep or anything, you will have a AtrDiag tool which will be coming with the uh, like a product itself. So you can make use of that AtrDiag tool. Basically, you need to go to the installed folder Tableau and Tableau version which are, and into the bin. If you go into the bin, you can find this command line utility tool. And I have mentioned here all the parameters which can be used with this AtrDiag tool. And these are all case insensitive. So you can use all these things. So basically here what I am showing is, before activating LBLM in Tableau desktop, if you run AtrDiag.exe, what will be the status? If you look at this window, it is saying that ATR feature is enabled, LBLM feature is required, and ATR requested duration seconds is this, but it is saying unable to load ATR. That means I have not activated the Tableau desktop yet with the LBLM. That's the reason it's not able to load the ATR. So let's say if you have any issues, let's say if you have any issues that you feel that there are some invalid ATRs, you need to delete the ATRs, or you need to clear the whole all the ATRs which were created previously, and what product is using that ATR token. So you can use all these parameters. For example, if I want to delete the invalid ATS, then I can use this delete invalid ATS and I can delete all those sessions. So that will be the advantage with the AtrDiag. So as we have seen AtrDiag before activating the LBLM, let me go to the next slide. So here what I'm doing is, I have activated the Tableau desktop with the LBLM. Then I ran AtrDiag.exe and it is showing me the same thing, and it is loading the ATR. When it is loading the ATR, you will have a UUID and the time to live, how much time the ATR token was generated, and how much time it is valid. So validity start and validity end. And you can also see what is the old ID and what is the new ID, and how many supported configuration count you are using. That means in how many machines, as I mentioned, with LBLM, you can use 3 sessions. What are the supported configuration sessions? Here I am using 2 sessions, and it will show me the details. So here I have activated Tableau Prep, and also I activated Tableau Desktop. For everything, when the license time to live license, the ATR token was valid, and when it is ending. And in the same way, you might be aware, when we are using the keys, we used to get the entitlement IDs. So with using LBLM and ATR, the entitlement ID still will be there. The entitlement IDs will be there, and the fulfillment IDs will also be there. But the main important things what we need to check is time to live and time to end. So these will give us an idea to diagnose if it is a ATR problem. That's the reason the license is not getting activated. So this will help us to check those information. And also, when if you want to see after the expiration of ATR duration, how it looks like. If you want to see, it will show you the ATR is invalid. Like if I run AtrDiag.exe and show verbose, it will be showing me the details. My ATR is invalid because the current time is not within the range, and it's saying that this ATR is dead. So one of more supported configurations are not valid. That means it is saying that I need to reactivate the license. If some user is saying that my activation is not working or something, we need to check these options so that we can find what is the issue and we can solve the issue if that is something. Why why this tool will be more helpful is, recently when we did a switch from from master key to LBLM, after 3 or 4 weeks, we saw an issue where all of our users got a issue saying that the maximum activations were reached. And we started diagnosing this, with the help of this AtrDiag.exe. We saw that it's not a problem from our end, it's a problem from the ATR hosted service by Tableau itself. So that's how we reached out to Tableau and we got to know that there was a problem and we solved the issue. So that's how this particular tool will help you to diagnose when you have the issues. So with this, I'll end my session. If you have any questions or anything, you can ask me now. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Sarah. You want to answer a couple of quick questions before I start?
Yeah.
There was one from talk about AD integration with LBLM in AD integration.
So basically, it's not AD integration. You can make use of AD groups. Basically, you can create specific AD groups and add all the users to that AD group. And then after that, for that AD group, you can provide a minimum site role, what it is, so that you can manage it very easily. If the next question is, if we don't have creator, we can't use LBLM. Yeah, creator role as mandatory. You need to have those user base subscription. So you need to convert all your keys. You need to convert all your keys from the master key or else individual keys to LBLM as creator licenses. Then only you can use it. Okay. So someone is asking about we have a lot of internal explorer roles. If we change role to creator, how does that impact security? So it depends. Basically, going to LBLM also, still you will have creator and explorer roles available. If you want only explorer roles, you can choose between that. So you need to mention to your account manager or someone that these many creator licenses I want, and you can still keep the explorer licenses what are there. You can still keep those licenses for explorer. So there is no necessity to change the explorer roles to creator. So it depends on the requirement and how many creators you need it. So you need to talk to your account manager or anyone so that you get the more details.
Let me add a little bit
I will
more. I saw that
yeah.
question. I put a slide. Just try to address that. Just some fundamental.
Sure.
One step back, talk about Tableau server license. Okay. Today's Tableau, I don't believe they sell any more perpetual license for the server. That's more like a legacy. For those who bought it, you can still use them, but I don't think Tableau sells those anymore. Similar as a core-based license. Tableau used to sell those, but today they don't. But if you have those already, you can continue use. LBLM will not work for perpetual license or core-based license. You need have a new license that is called rule-based license to work with LBLM. More specifically for that question, where when you have a rule-based license model or a subscription model, that's not the term, subscription. Role-based, when you have a role-based, not subscription, when you have a role-based, okay, you have a viewers, they can only do limited things on the server. They can do can be explorers, they can do a filter and so on. There can be creators who can web edit, who can publish, who can create a new content, who can use Tableau desktop to publish on the server. So the LBLM, what we talk about, is only for the creators on the server. Most companies will have a small subset as creators that cost more money. And you have a lot more explorers. So if you decide to switch to LBLM, you're not touching the explorer users. Okay, they are not impact. Viewers not impact. We only talk about a small subset of creators. In the older days, as a creators on the server, there may also have individual Tableau desktop license key that you activate or they activate, you give them key, they activate their Tableau desktop and prep. They can publish from their Tableau desktop or prep to server. The LBLM we talk about is we don't need to give them individual desktop or prep key anymore. Basically, they can use their creator side rule on the server to activate their desktop or prep without license key anymore. Hopefully, this clarifies. Paul or Sarah, feel free to clarify further.
I think you answered it completely. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Going back to my slide. Okay. My name is Mark. I will focus on user experience and mainly the workflow automation, how to get the user experience. Okay. So when I say user experience, okay, I'll go back a little bit. Okay, go back a little bit. Go back. So why LBLM? Again, it's for better license allocation and reclamation. Okay, if people don't use the license, we can claim faster. We can reallocate the license to others. And also, of course, we can better track Tableau desktop or prep usage. If you look at this all, it's more on the governance admin server set of benefits. That's almost not too much benefits for the Tableau desktop or prep users, if you think.
Hey, Mark,
That is also, yeah.
Your slide is not, sorry,
My
your
slides
slides were not moving.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, let me stop my share again. Okay, that's weird. Okay, let me stop the share again. Okay, share. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay, let me share. Did I share? Is it moving?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, now it's moving.
Okay, thank you. So a lot of benefits, easy time saving for license management, governance, tracking usage, and so on, but not much benefits for the users. Actually, it's a little bit extra step for the users, which is why I've been very skeptical in last more than a year since LBLM was out. Was out, by the way, 2020.1. Okay, I was thinking how I can make user experience better. When I say user, means the use desktop or prep user activation process better. How I can make that experience better, at least the same as what they had before. Okay, I'll go through that. To make that happen, let's relook at what needs to be done for the LBLM. One is, of course, you need to have the license mode, the rule-based license. I say subscription, actually should be rule-based. And then the click, you saw that earlier, the activate when they're, after they install Tableau desktop or prep, there's no more license, okay? They have to click activate by sign in to a server. And then they have to give a server URL. And they have to have a site rule on the specific server as a creator before they can use it. So how we can make this whole user experience better? When I say better means, what it means? Well, as what Paul has, I also have a single master key for almost 20,000 users. What I had before for the last couple of years with this single master key is that I also have a controlled custom installer package where once a particular user access the package, the user can click the package, download the package, they can install and activate both Tableau desktop and prep with a single click and get the license activate as well. Means after a single click, install, actually I build the activation as part of the package as well. So their actually desktop and prep are activated at the end of installation automatically. They can start to use Tableau desktop or prep without even think the license. That is the user experience I'm talking about. And then this has been the experience for the last couple of years. Now move to LBLM. Well, after installation, I cannot activate the desktop or prep license anymore. They will have to click the desktop or prep license and then log on the server from the Tableau desktop or prep. Then give their single sign-on username and password. Then they can activate it, assuming they have create a side rule on a particular server. Think about it. That is a lot of extra steps for the desktop prep users. That's a kind of a bad user experience. That is not a good user experience. This is what struggles me for a long time. I didn't want to go with this, but finally I did it. By the way, I did it. And I'm in the process of transitioning all my desktop prep users from the single master key to this new LBLM. So how that works, okay, before I even go to the next slide, show you some details, how it works. My license, the single master key, of course, is hidden. They cannot even see the key, but get activated automatically. How the single master key or individual license key works is once it is activated on the machine, actually the valid for about a year in my case, until this summer actually. Okay, their license, their desktop individual key still works until summer. So as part of transition, when they install my new package with LBLM, as part of my new package, I actually deactivate the license key. They even don't know. That's part of my installer package. I deactivate the individual key automatically as part of installation. So if they install the package again, quite a users already did, okay, and their individual license key is deactivated, and they are enforced with the new LBLM. They are good. They are using LBLM already. Now, for the other users who have not installed the desktop license yet, because I cannot force everyone to install desktop license at a given day, a week, or month. It's up to them. If they never install the package again, actually their individual master key still works until summer. When the summer comes, their individual key will expire, and then they will have to activate by signing in the server. That is to use LBLM. So my transition actually is going on. It will take a few months to complete. Okay. This talks about transition because there was one question earlier talk about how do I transit. Now let's focus on user experience. Out of box Tableau saying, hey, there are 3 options when you install, when you launch Tableau desktop, for example. Luckily, as Thros showed you, Tableau does give us a configuration we can enforce only one option because I don't want people to click other options. I don't understand what it means for other options. They ask me, where's my product key? I don't want them. So I use the configuration more like required. There was a question earlier, does this have a configure works for OS, Mac OS? Yes, as you can see, I gave you a command line on the top right. It works for both Mac OS and Windows machines. Single option. There's no need to think, no need to guess. Okay. And then next one is also server URL. Luckily, out of box Tableau has this configuration. You can configure your Tableau desktop installation such a way that you can give a default server URL. Although users are actually able to change this URL. If we have multiple server, just be aware, you may want to enable this on one of your servers only. Okay. When you do so, some user may be surprised to see, hey, how come I'm going that server? They don't understand. They may want to change to their other server that used to publish. Be aware of this. Okay. Actually, I did it for both servers, okay, for both my servers. So there is default server URL. Also be aware that users can actually override this URL during the activation process. So this is not too bad. It's just configuration, okay, part of your package. Now, what's more challenging for me, this took me a while to figure this out, is a creator side rule. Paul and Thora in UBS, they used AD group, they used the server group minimum side rule as creator, that users in that group automatically granted with a creator side rule. Unfortunately, I cannot do that because I also have a separate scripts. When user left the company, I changed the side rule of the user to non-licensed automatically. That conflicting with the minimum side rule for the particular group. So I couldn't figure that out. There was conflicting from my situation. So what I had to do, this is actually very creative. How do I ensure the particular user who is installing Tableau Desktop and Prep has a side rule as a creator automatically? Okay, if they don't, they will complain. They cannot activate, they will complain. That's right. I don't want to avoid the complaint. So what I did was that as a part of their installation in a package, by the way, my users are Mac. I'm using the Pro 5 Pro as a script language. In my Pro scripts, I was able to create a function to call separate Python scripts. What the Python script does is that it grab this user's user ID. Okay, based on the install user, I'm able to grab this user's ID from the user's machine and check this user side rule on the particular server. If the side rule is less creator, less means either the user does not exist, or a viewer or explorer, then the script Python scripts will automatically grant this user as a creator side rule. This is done in parallel when the user is installing the package. It only takes 1 to 2 seconds. User even didn't aware of. So when the user completes the Tableau Desktop Prep installation, the side rule on the server is there already. And then when the user clicks activate by signing into a server, that makes the creator is there already. So making sure users are able to activate on the server. That is my big thing that I had to work on as part of my installer before I can really adopt this LBLM. So my point is that depends on your situation. There are many creative ways you can go to maintain or to keep your user experience. Although this LBLM is very good for management, governance, license tracking, but it can be extra step for users, desktop users. But there are ways that you can make this better.
I think Mark, just from
Yeah.
my perspective, LBLM has definitely been a success for us. It's been a lot of advantages, but one thing you should expect that took us a bit by surprise is our licenses were managed by a central team before LBLM, and we turned LBLM on and we expected to see the same stats and data that team was telling us. And what it told us was completely different. It took us almost a year to clean up the mess because we found hundreds of licenses that weren't being used, that hadn't been managed correctly by this team. And it took us, I think we're still cleaning up after LBLM. That was well over a year ago. So it actually shines a light on the real picture of your environment. And you also see all these people who you think are using Tableau and they actually aren't, and licenses being used by multiple people and shared around teams, and a whole A to Z of license crimes. So it really does tell you what really is going on in your server environment.
Cool. That's great.
I would like to add one more point which I missed it. So basically, when you are using master key or individual keys, you need to do a registration, which you need to handle it. But with LBLM, there is no registration part. You don't need to worry about it because all this information will be in the server, and from the server ATR service will look into it. So there is no registration part here for the LBLM. So that's one good advantage. You don't need to handle that part when you are doing packaging and those things.
Yeah. I think it's the last slide. The workflow automation. Of course, you need to have a creator side rule. And after users install Tableau desktop or prep, they have to click to activate by sign in to a server. And they are getting a server URL by default, hopefully. And hopefully they have a creator side rules granted. And then that's it. That's all. And of course, Tableau has a fairly good documentation on the configurations. You can configure multiple things on the server side usage. There is a LBLM tracking, user tracking, which is nice, very nice. Okay, that's all we plan to have as a presentation goes. Let's just focus on the QA piece. Let's focus on QA. Let's put more questions. And Paul and Thor, let's just focus on let's answer the remaining questions live. Okay, what questions we have? Aaron Han, adding creator CVS for local user store, not using AD group. I think can go by both. You can do a AD group sync, as I always do. Or you can. You can add a CVS, but I don't think the creator is something you have to add, because most likely those people are publishers already today. Those users are there already. You just maybe they are depends on license you have. I'm not very clear about this this one. I think you can do both technically. Jenna, we have a desktop license keys and we have a creator license on server. Yes, LBLM will automatically assign desktop license key and reclaim them, but will this system automatically lower the creator rule if a desktop key is reclaimed? Okay, this is a good question. Yeah. You have creator rule already, right? If you enable LBLM and you have a way to configure how long this user, how often this user will have to reactivate if they do not use. Sounds like that the UBS is every 12 hours. If they don't use every 12 hours, don't use means do not log on the server every 12 hours. Their license key expires on the server. Then you can reassign to others. In my case, I think I said I was deciding between 1 month, 2 months. Okay, I think right now I'm using 2 months. If they do not log on the server at all every 2 months, their license will be claimed automatically, and I can assign a license to someone else. Versus Tableau desktop license, where it's much harder to reclaim, because once you give out, it's not easy to track the usage, and also once they're activated on the machine, it will be valid for the year, or most likely is a year. It's much harder to track traditional single desktop license key. LBLM makes it much easier to track reclaim management license. What is the difference between a perpetual and a core-based license? The core-based is, that's again, both old license model. The core-based means you can use, for example, 8 or 24 core machine. There's unlimited number of users you can create, but maximum you can use those how many machines, how many core of the machine, 8 or 24 or more. That's a core-based license. Perpetual license is like how many publishers, how many creators, how many publishers, how many explorers you can have on the server. But you can have as many machines as you want. Again, all those are old license pricing approach that Tableau does not sell anymore, but if you have them, you can continue to use, I believe, more like grandfathered. Local store, I'm also using local store to manage my users, okay? Even then, I can still sync with my AD group. That's not the issue. We'd like to use LBLM, but with our current configuration, it does not look like it's going to happen based on what I'm hearing. Yeah, you need to have a rule-based license model where you have to have creators. Can you provide some additional information on how this Python script works, or provide example how the Python scripts for user side rule change? Well, the Python script, you can use the API. Basically, it's nothing using API. Okay, you don't have to use Python. You can use all the other scripts. Calling the API, the API can check this user exists on server or not. That's it, API. And if the user does not exist, you can create a user by providing username, email address, and the side rule. And then when you do so, just make sure give them creators. Okay, that's all. If the user already exists, you check the side rule. What's the side rule of this user? If it's not a creator, grant them a creator. It's calling the API, basically. I'm saying in Python, we're using Python to call a bunch of APIs to take care of the user side rule. Okay. Remesh, it asks registration details. I'm not quite sure, Remesh, what it means. You may have to submit this question, sorry. Jeffrey, how does the Tableau server handle if a user is in 2 groups that have different minimum side rules? if users are in two different groups, yeah, that's very common. But if one group has a minimum site rule as, let's say, creator, okay, when this user, if you also enforce like login, making sure this once this user login in one group has a minimum set rule, this user set rule will be creator automatically, even they are in many other groups. That doesn't matter. Actually, that doesn't matter.
Basically, the highest role will be taking the precedence. So if you have the creator is the highest role, so it would be the minimum site role for him.
Okay. Please switch back to the last screen to show the URL. Not quite sure which one. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Registration details on the Mac. Oh, the registration details on the Mac. Registration details on the Mac. I think I have it here. Let me show again. I don't know if this is what you're looking for. Remesh. Registration details on the Mac. I have 2 of those. Let me share my screen again. Not quite sure if this is what you're asking for.
I think if it is asking for the registration details, you need to create a JSON file, the registration file, or else you can write a script to integrate with the AD. Once the user logins, it need to fetch all those details and it need to push. It need to it can input it into the registration window.
Okay. Let me just reshare a couple from my screens. Feel free to take a screenshot. Also, I will make this slide available as part of the recording. This is one configuration you can do to require server activation, LBLM. I call it enforce it. Okay. The second configuration where is your default Tableau server URL.
I think Mark, he is asking about the registration, how to do with LBLM. The registration won't be there, right? Maybe that's the question.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Maybe he can ask it.
Any other questions? Oh, I do have this slide. This is a coming finally TC 22. I think they have a smaller 5,000 cap of in person in Vegas, May 17, 19. I registered. I cannot wait to go. It's next month. If you plan to go, I think we can still do a TC like user group for server admins. I think I would love to organize one. I'll work with Tableau, the conference organizer, to see if he can give us small room. We can still organize a meetup of this user group at the TC. Any other questions, anyone?
No, I hope that was useful, and feel free to reach out to us anytime, and see you at another server admin session. Thank you, Mark, for organizing, and thank you, Thara, for the detailed presentation.
Thank you very much, Thara and Paul and Katie.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you all
so
for
much,
your
Mark.
participation. Let's talk to you next month. Likely next month in May session, we'll have a webhook conversation. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.